Hello there, a very good morning and welcome to another edition of the Talk of the Town. Joining us this morning is Dr. Kalana Senaratne. He's a senior lecturer at the Department of Law at the University of Senaratne. A very good morning, Dr. Kalana, and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
So, Dr. Kalana, recently the online safety bill was passed in Parliament that raised a few eyebrows and also raised a few questions regarding these pieces of legislation that are passed in Sri Lanka that could potentially violate fundamental rights of the general public. Now, the contention here is that initially the bill was gazetted, it was challenged before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court gave a determination saying that somewhere around 50 of the clauses of the bill were inconsistent with the Constitution. However, if they were amended in a certain way, they could be passed by a simple majority in Parliament. That was the determination of the Supreme Court. But however, there were accusations raised by legal luminaries such as President's Counsel Emesu Manthiran in Parliament itself that parliamentarians were misusing the committee stage amendments to bring in things that are violative of the people's fundamental rights without the approval of the Supreme Court. So is there absolutely nothing that could be done to remedy this?
Shah, it's a very important question, I think a bit of a complex question also. But let me give you an answer like this. From a constitutional perspective, this violates some of the basic principles of constitutionalism. For example, it violates the people's sovereignty. This is not what the people actually wanted or wanted to see happening. This violates the judicial power of the people, which is exercised by the courts. So we see Parliament disregarding what the judiciary has said, the supreme judicial body. We see the rights being violated, equality has been violated here. So the commonsensical sort of question would be is, if these important principles of the Constitution are violated, cannot citizens do anything about it? And I think it's one thing to raise that particular commonsensical question, but lawyers and legal documents might have very complicated answers to these kinds of questions. So one thing that I could think of as someone coming from the legal profession is that, this is something that ought to be challenged in court. It could be as a fundamental rights petition. Whether the courts would consider this to be an issue that needs to be seriously considered, whether the courts would think that this is there's a clash between the judiciary and the legislature, is something that we need to wait and see. I cannot, as a legal academic, say that there's one clear answer to this question, but I hope that if that happens, if there's a challenge, that the courts would hold in favor of the citizen.
So according to your understanding, now there are certain types of actions that can be filed in the Supreme Court, be it an appeal, a special determination, or a violation of fundamental rights under Article 126. Yes. So do you think you can't file a special determinations, of course, once it has been passed in Parliament? So your opinion is that maybe the waters could be tested on Article 126, violation of fundamental rights?
Waters could be tested, certainly. And also one wonders whether the Speaker has given his assent. Well, one thinks that it has happened.
Because that's the natural course of events.
Natural course of events. But if he has not, because that is the final act to ensure that something has transformed into...
You're saying in the interim?
In the interim, yes. So if he has not done that, then there's certainly perhaps something else that can be explored. But going on the basis that it is an act now, and since we don't have post-enactment judicial review, I think it's a difficult matter, but still there is no harm in trying.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kalana Senaratne, Senior Lecturer in Law at the Department of Law of the University of Senaratne, for joining us this morning on the Talk of the Town. It's back to the Morning Fix on Yes 101.